Welcome to What We Learned This Week Yoga Edition. I'm Liz, and I'm going to share just a little yoga practice with you today. Mostly mindfulness, a lot of breathing. So let's get started. First, begin by maybe bringing your hands together at your heart. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes or keep them softly gazed forward. From here, go ahead and find just a few breaths out your mouth. So no matter how you inhale, just let your breath roll across your tongue here, almost a sigh, like we do when we're tired or even exasperated. Find an inhale. Let that sigh roll across your tongue. We're going to do this 2 more times. Each time, allow your shoulders to drop, to slump, to get heavier and more relaxed. Inhale again. And exhale, let that breath roll across your tongue. Last one. Inhale. Let that breath roll out 1 more time. From here, just finding a tall, relatively tall spine in the back body. And soften where you can, in your shoulders, around your eyes and mouth. Allowing your breath now to focus only through the nose. Inhaling deeply and exhaling just as deep. Maybe even focusing a little bit on lengthening that out breath. Imagine your sits bones, those points touching the earth or the mat right now, melting down beyond the roots, beyond the floor. Each breath, maybe your spine or your crown lifts just a little bit more. And for our centering thought today, we're going to focus on being centered and what that looks like or may feel like in our body. Coming home to this experience. When we're centered, it leaves us the space to explore and become more in touch with the present moment. 1 more guided breath, just like this, in through your nose and back out. If your eyes were closed, feel free to open them. Release your hands all the way down to the top of your knees. And from here, maybe just some small movements, rolling the heads of the shoulders in and around. Big circles, get lots of motion in there. You can take that as slow or as fast as you'd like. And then switch it up on another breath so that you're moving in both directions. Finishing up, come back through to center, and let's start with a little extra movement in our spine. Inhaling the heart all the way forward and exhaling, rounding our back all the way behind us. Just let those inhales gradually open your spine here, create some flexion and some movement. 1 more breath as you inhale forward. 1 more exhale towards the back wall. Coming back up tall and finishing with a nice big inhale out and up, salute all the way above, overhead, and exhale, pull that down into your heart space. We're going to take 2 more gathering breaths just like this. Inhaling as we rise, exhaling as we pull it down into heart. Last big in breath. Ending finally at your heart space. And then shifting into a little bit of movement here. We'll bring our fingertips to rest at the fronts of the heads of the shoulders, adding some twisting all the way out to one side on a breath, and then to the other on a breath. Maybe this is a fast-paced motion where you're getting a nice big spin, or you can slow it down, just inhaling to the left, exhaling to the right. Whatever it is, let's take 3 more full breaths here. and pinning those sits bones down really deeply so that only the shoulders open. Finish, come back through to center after your last exhale. Release those hands and feel free to roll your shoulders out one more time. Maybe a little side body comes with it. And then we'll transition to one last neck opener just before we start to add a tiny bit more movement on our mat. We're going to drop our left ear down to the shoulder and maybe just gently reaching those right fingertips out to the side, allowing all that breath to move into the right side of the neck here. One more. Finding an in breath. We'll come back up through the center and then switch sides. So let your right ear fall down to the right shoulder this time and your left fingertips to reach out to the side. Again, breathing in through your nose and back out so that all this movement linked with our breath, connecting our mind and body together. Final breath here. Inhale and shift, come all the way back up to center. Add a big in breath out and up, and this time reverse those fingertips as you come all the way up to the ceiling. Shrug those shoulders out of your ears. Try and draw your ribs and belly inward and send your hips all the way down to the earth. We're going to lean just once or twice out to each side as if we've woken up in the morning and created a nice big stretch for ourselves. Last time, almost waving really gently in that first morning breeze. Come all the way up, release your hands. And from here, go ahead and take your feet out in front of you, soles of the feet together. We call this Baddha Konasana, or just a bound angle pose. This allows us to open our hips a tiny bit. So activate this pose by pressing the soles of the feet a little deeper together, and the more you draw those feet closer to your body, perhaps the deeper that will open your hips. We're going to find a nice tall spine to start on an in-breath, and then very gently exhale and hinge forward. We want to send our sits bones all the way down in the opposite direction of our upper body. Almost like we're creating a nice big clean arrow of our spine. You're welcome to drop your chin into your chest here, rolling your neck all the way out, if that's useful. Find 2 more breaths. Imagine bringing that breath all the way down to the base of the lungs on the back side. So imagine it traveling the length of your spine here, inflating that space and gradually releasing your breath. As you finish, move with an in-breath and we'll rise. Shifting our hands now to our sides, shift your soles of the feet now to the mat and gently windshield wiper those knees back and forth. Just opening the hips one last time. After a breath, come back to center and swing those legs out behind you, making your way to a tabletop pose. Tabletop is just palms under shoulders and knees right about underneath your hips. From here, we're going to let our belly soften down to the mat and our chin or our gaze to return forward into a cow pose. Moving with an exhale, flex your spine, undulate all the way up to the ceiling with that out breath as you press into cat. Inhaling through cow and exhaling back into cat. We're going to take this 2 more times, just finding your breath, letting your spine and heart lead the practice, and connecting to that motion with your breath. From cat-cows, we're going to go ahead and widen our knees a tiny bit, extend our hips all the way out behind us, and reach those fingertips in front, moving into child's pose. The palms are wide, and give yourself a little bit of a drop here. Feel free to drop your forehead to the mat and rest in child's pose. We're going to take 3 breaths in that release to our low back. Each inhale, draw your breath in, maybe even your belly as well to the spine. And just imagine everything in your low back releasing. Last breath. Coming back through and into tabletop on your next inhale. We'll shift our shoulders around a tiny bit here, squeezing first through the left side. The left shoulder and hips meeting together as if we could squeeze through a flank stretch here on an inhale. Exhale back towards the front of the room and sweep that opposite shoulder and hip back. We'll do this once more to each side, maybe twice. Just lengthening through the side body where we can, freeing the space around our lungs. So that we have more space to pull deep breaths into the body. As you finish, tuck your toes, shift your hips back one last time and get a little bit of a toes pose here. Stretching out all the bottom of the feet. And then to finish, we'll come back through a seat and all the way onto our mat for just a brief moment. This is called Shavasana or corpse pose. And just to give you an idea of a meditative or reset space after a few practice poses that will allow you to close your practice. So once you come down onto your back, feel free to hug your knees all the way into your chest and maybe roll side to side or out and around. Bring your feet to the outer edges of your mat, palms up, finding just a couple of grounding breaths here. Once again, you can close your eyes or gaze softly forward. Some people like to place a blanket on their belly or chest. Something that allows you to just feel comforted in that quiet space and ready to finish your practice here. Your breath or your awareness now shifting from those inhales and exhales to that centering thought, coming home to our body, feeling at home in this space. We'll remain for just a few moments. Aware that all the sensations in and around us, the thoughts floating around, they're just part of our existence. They don't determine much else. For the time being, it's just breath and being here in this moment. Your last breath or so, release. Take a nice big inhale. Bring your hands to your heart and belly. Inhale. And exhale, let that breath express across your tongue once more. We'll tuck those knees in and come all the way back into a seat. And just to finish that little practice, bringing our hands into our heart, thanking our body for its effort, and thank you for sharing that with me today. Namaste.